Welcome, I'm Horatio and I'm here to teach you how to play Zestrea. Zestrea is a game about marriages and negotiations for 3 to 6 players. You play as boyars, nobles from Romania, and your goal is to get rich. Rich in Zestrea, which means dowry in Romanian. You each have a boyar's estate, with some land and some villagers, whose fate is in your hands. The villagers work your land and they produce Zestrea, but they also make babies sometimes, expanding the family, so that's where the weddings come in. Let's do the setup. Each player chooses a boyar card to represent who they are in the game. Each player starts the game with a married couple composed of a lad and maiden on top of each other like this, and 3 lands. The hard times belong in a stack, in the middle of the table, face down. Take 5 random hard times from the box and add the initial 3 good times on top, in order. Then you have the mixed villager stack, the Zestrea stack and the fate cards. These stacks together represent the state. The game happens over multiple turns, each divided into 5 steps, as seen on your boyar cards. First thing every turn is to reveal 1 hard times card, or good times the first 3 turns, and follow the instructions on it. For example, this can be a flood, or bandits, or all kinds of bad stuff. Once you finish with the hard times, move on to the next step. The second step is production, where your married villagers work the land. You may roll the dice for each couple that has a land. See how much Zestrea they made on the production table on your boyar card. And if you roll 1, 2 or 3, you also get a baby. Place the babies sideways like this until they grow up at the end of the turn. You cannot marry them until then, but they also do not cost you any food. Once every boyar has rolled for production, move on to the next step. In the auction step, a fate card from the state is revealed publicly and anybody can bid Zestrea for it in any order, first come, first served. Whoever bids the most buys it and can use it later in the game. I'll explain how to use fate cards in a little bit. The weddings and negotiation step is the main part of Zestrea. Here, boyars can negotiate, play fate cards and attempt marriages freely in any order they want. They can also buy fate cards, land or make adoptions. Boyars can try to marry 2 villagers of the opposite sex, from different boyars only. Some special fate cards allow same-sex marriages. Let's say we're playing, and you have a lad, Vasile, that you want to marry with my maiden Doina. Every wedding attempt costs 2 Zestrea paid to the state, so the first thing we need to decide is who pays for it. We can contribute 1-1, or one of us can pay both Zestrea. After we pay for the attempt, we roll the dice to see if the villagers want to get married. If the die roll is 1 or 2, the wedding is a success. Woohoo! After a successful wedding, the maiden always goes to the lad, as tradition dictates. The boyar who gave away the maiden draws a fate card as a reward. If the wedding fails, we can pay for extra attempts until it works, or give up and the villagers stay single. We cannot get our Zestrea back after paying it, but we can try as many times as we can afford. For same-sex couples, you must decide in advance which boyar gets the couple, and the other one gets the fate card. The base wedding chance is 1 or 2, and it can be increased or decreased using fate cards. For example, a musician at a wedding adds a wedding chance, therefore the die roll can be 1, 2 or 3. Wedding chances add up, so with 2 musicians it goes to 1, 2, 3, 4. Cards like the village ugly, -2, decrease the chances, making it less likely for the villagers to get married. Now on to fate cards. They are cards that can help you, such as pickle business, or mess with the others like village drama, or both like fence feud. You can buy them for 2 Zestrea in the weddings and negotiation step, or receive them somehow during the game, and they all have instructions on them. Fate cards can be kept secret or revealed to other players, depending on your strategy. You can play them anytime during the weddings and negotiation step. After playing a fate card, discard it in a pile, face up. Timing is important. If you want to play a fate card that affects the chances of a wedding, you must do so before the boyars roll the die. Some fate cards have an extra band under the title. They are rolls. They can be attached to any villager in the game, including the other boyars' villagers, and they stay attached for the entire villager's life. A villager can have multiple rolls. When the fate cards in the pile run out, the game carries on without them. you should not reshuffle them. During the weddings and negotiation step, you can also make adoptions. A villager can be adopted from the state, but never from other boyars. It costs 2 Zestrea, and the villager is an adult from the start. They can get married right away. But not to their siblings. They don't know they're adopted. Boyars can buy extra land for 4 Zestrea. You can only buy land during the weddings and negotiation step, and it cannot be sold. You can have maximum 5 lands and minimum 1 land. When you're ready to end the wedding step, say pass. After all boyars are ready, proceed to the food step. If some boyars take forever to decide, you may use some sort of timer or peer pressure them into deciding faster. Each turn ends with the boyars paying for the villagers' food. The villagers or couples with land under their feet are considered fed. Then you must pay 1 Zestrea for every couple or single villager that doesn't have land. Babies born in the current turn do not have to eat. Instead, they grow up by turning their cards upright. In case you run out of Zestrea, you still have to pay for the villagers' food. You can't just let them starve to death. So for every villager or couple that did not eat this turn, you must use one of your lands to pay for their food, and this land goes to the state. Next turn you're gonna have an even bigger problem. You'll figure it out. If you're left with just 1 land, you cannot lose it. Same goes for your last couple, you can never lose it. So when you're down to just 1 land, no Zestrea, anybody who did not eat starves to death, and we bury them with a piece of land from the state. So after every boyar finished with the food step, you turn another hard times card, continue the game and so on, until you get to the final turn. In this last turn, when there are no more hard times, you can no longer buy fate cards for 2 Zestrea. You can still play the ones in your hand, or get them through weddings. After the last food step, you count the points like this. First you count your Zestrea. Then you count the lands, they're each worth 1 Zestrea. Finally, whoever has the most couples gets 5 Zestrea as a bonus. But if it's a tie for the most couples, then nobody gets the +5. So the boyar with the most Zestrea wins the game. And if there's a tie, the boyar with the most villagers wins the game. And if there's a tie again, then it's just a tie. Congratulations! The hard times have passed, everybody's happy, life moves on. But before long, the hard times will come again. Thanks for playing.